just going to simply ask you this. In terms of safeguarding rights, how sacred to you is the Bill of Rights? Are you going to be a constitutional sheriff? Like I said, I heard you, sir. But we're going to kick this off with Mr. Duncan.
So to answer this cut and dry, yes, I will be a constitutional sheriff. I believe that the Constitution is afforded to all Americans, and the sheriff is the last line of defense against a government that would step forward. So if you do not believe in the Constitution, you do not believe that the Constitution is afforded to all Americans, then you would allow the federal government to come in, regardless of what they've got, and do whatever they want. Let's go back to COVID times. Instead of not allowing people to go to church and not allowing people to go get their haircuts, the sheriff, if it were me, would not allow anyone to be charged for opening up the doors to the church, opening up the doors to getting their haircuts. It is your right to go to these places to have your business taken care of. It is also your right to stay at home. So you can't pick and choose on the Constitution. Either you are for the Constitution or you're against the Constitution. And I don't know where that became a part where, bipartisan, that the Constitution is a problem, and why some people are against the Constitution. If you're an American, then you are for the Constitution. Your Constitution is for your rights. It is for all Americans, regardless of everything. So just getting that straight off of the block there. So we kind of went in with the Rolling Thunder thing. So I'm going to go back to the Rolling Thunder now that we're with that.
It's your 3 minutes.
It's my 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So we seniors want to make sure that seniors are taken care of. We'll launch a senior protective initiative. I work with TD Bank right now, and I deal a lot with elders that are being taken advantage of. A lot of people up to $1 million, and they don't even know that they are being scammed. With wire transfers, they only get back what's left over after somebody's been scammed. So the lowest I think was $900,000 they sent out. They got back $600. So that is a problem for Spartanburg County, and it's all over. But if we can educate some of these people on those issues, then that is a great way to go. ICE, illegal aliens. I will work with ICE as they determine that they need to come in and illegal immigrants that are here committing crimes. Thank you.
Mr. Hoffman.
Well, again, let me say this. When I was asked this a couple months ago in reference to constitutional sheriff and what all that was about, I was kind of amazed, because I kind of thought that that's the way it should be all along, is, if you've got the Constitution and you're the sheriff, then you should be going by what the Constitution says. I mean, it's not hard to understand that, you're elected by the people, and the people are the ones that the Constitution takes care of, and so why wouldn't you do what the Constitution says? So first off, for me, it was kind of like, I don't understand why it's so hard to not do that. I mean, it's just, I guess that was just me. I do believe that COVID tested that. I know several times me and my wife went several different places, and the first thing they said was, you've got to put on a mask. And we both looked at them and said, well, no, we don't need to put on a mask. And we didn't put on a mask. There was people that said, we got military guys that was kicked out because they wouldn't take the shot. You know what? None of my kids took the shot. And I know it sounds, I guess, cliche to say it, but I didn't know that there was any other way that you should do things. The sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer in the county, and that's what he should do. He should take care of the people that live in this county. That's what his job is, and that's what he should do. So let me say this, when it comes to if you are in this country and you're not supposed to be in this country and you're here illegally, then you know what? You need to come back the legal way, but you need to leave prior to coming back. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with somebody being in this country as long as you come the right way. And that's you know, that to me also is, I wouldn't go somewhere and think that I was going to stay there if I didn't do it the right way. So in order to come to this country, you should come the right way. And as far as ICE, you know, the detention center already kind of takes care of those things as far as the sheriff's office. You know, if we have people that come in that are wanted by ICE, they're actually, we let them know that, and let them know that we have them, and then they come get them. So for me, the constitutional sheriff was kind of, you know, it is what you should do anyway. I just think that. So anyway, thank you all again.
Mr. Black.
I apologize a little bit on the front end because I haven't been able to adequately express to you my hearts and my beliefs tonight, especially the way this format is with the questions. So for those of you who have questions that I have not been able to answer, please stop by our table or find me or look me up at Pallado #4 Sheriff to find out in greater depth my values. When it comes to the constitutionality and the way we as law enforcement do things, first and foremost, you got to remember we are made in the image of God, and God is the one who grants us our freedoms. These are something that was unique to all our founding fathers, and why they would have been charged with treason right from breaking away from the British government to give us these freedoms that you and I live every day for. Whether you want to vote or don't want to vote, whether you express this faith or express that faith. The constitutionality based on these Bill of Rights and our Constitution is something none of us should take for granted. And me as a law enforcement officer, I'd rather err on the side of releasing one person potentially guilty than see one of you innocently get charged with something because we have mistook something that is something as a right that God gave us to walk around without being a police state. So when it comes to constitutionality, whether you look at it right or from this angle or that angle, we are here to represent you. We are your servants. The sheriff is the #1 law enforcement agency in the entire county, and we represent you. When it came to COVID, too many of us gave away those rights, and as I always say, there was too many sheeple out there letting the federal government and even our state governments take on that dictation. Fear, misinformation, and those kind of things put you all at a disadvantage, even to the point of your safety. Me and my family didn't take the shot, and we were one of the first boldly speaking about it, even in my agency. When everybody was offering incentives, I told them, you're going to have to fire me before I get this shot, because I was unashamed and unapologetic. When it came to those masks and everything else, you got to do your homework, because the government is going to try to dictate to you what you should do versus you dictate to your government because you don't get involved to make sure that the people you put in office are serving you. You should not be moved by or motivated by fear, but on the basis of truth and God's rights. I always see it as God first, government second, and in that order. So if the laws of man cross over the boundaries of God's laws, I'm going first with God. Uncompromised understanding. Those are things you got to remember. Those family values are our family values. And as sheriff, I will make sure your rights are always protected, even if the federal government wants to come in and compromise. And as far as ICE goes, look at their vision and their statement for what we are. They are there to protect us, and we will always work hand in hand with them to make sure that illegal immigration is dealt with properly.
Mr. Ryan.
The United States of America is the greatest country in the world. No question about it. And the reason we're the greatest country in the world is because of our Constitution and what we stand on. Our forefathers were not thinking about what was going on back in 1775 when the Constitution was written. They were thinking about the long term of what they wanted this country to be and how they wanted this country to prosper. And we have a responsibility, and I have a responsibility as sheriff to protect that Constitution. There was a gentleman who asked me on the radio not long ago if I was going to stand with 287G by the name of Charlie James. And he asked me if I was, and I got hammered on that because I told him absolutely we're going to stand with 287G and we're going to stand with the federal government. If ICE deems people need to be taken out, we're going to provide every asset that we have to work with the federal government to ensure that they have what they need to get these illegal immigrants that pose a threat to the people in our country out of our country. However, I was subsequently asked about my stance on the Second Amendment, and they asked me, they said, what if they come to the state of South Carolina and they tell us that they're coming to take our guns, what are you going to do? I told them, I said, the sheriff's office will be at the county line turning the federal government around. Because the Second Amendment of the Constitution guarantees your right to bear arms. I'm a hunter, my children are hunters, they have grown up shooting, I'm a firearms instructor, I own my own firearms training company where I teach people to shoot. What people don't think about is when the federal government gets involved and they start thinking in Washington that, oh, guns are safe. Last time I checked, there's not a single gun that's killed a human being. People kill people. Those guns cannot go off on their own. It takes somebody. But when they take that right from you and they try to tell you that we're going to take your weapons, they don't realize that not only have they just changed the Second Amendment, the moment that they change the Second Amendment, they're now forced to have to change the Fourth Amendment because illegal searches and seizures, they're coming in there and now illegally taking your weapons, which is a guaranteed constitutional right that has been afforded to you. If you change the Fourth Amendment, now you have to change the Sixth Amendment. So we take one little thing that one group, one hard left group wants to do and take from us, and it changes the entire foundation for what our country was founded on. And as Sheriff of Spartanburg County, I will never allow anybody to come in and take any of your guaranteed rights away from you. Thank you.
Mr. Stevens. That's a good question. And I'm going to tell you, it's a deep well when you start talking about your constitutional rights. And if any of these gentlemen are going to get up there and protect them if they become sheriff of Spartanburg County. Me personally, I think your rights have already been violated. I have friends who died at the hospital during COVID. They were given medication dictated by the CDC and not necessarily agreed on by the physicians working up there. But a lot of stuff, nobody had a choice. It was pretty well, if you were a physician at the hospital, if you didn't do exactly what the CDC said do during COVID, you lose your license. So as a sheriff and as a medical investigator, a licensed medical investigator, this is something I'm going to look at. I'm not going to wait to see if your rights are violated in the future. I'm going to look and see what's happened here in the past. Now, when you start talking about immigration, I'm licensed in immigration, and I'm going to tell you, it's like this. There's people here who are doing work. Somehow or another, they got an illegal Social Security card, so they're working. And they may be good people, and they may have great kids. But there was a door open for immunity that they could have walked through at one time and possibly got a green card. That door closed. But there's other doors open. If you're from another country and you're here illegally and you was a victim of crime or you were a victim of the war, there's doors open for that. But we have to vent these people because you don't know. You may think you know, but you do not know what the real reason these people are here for. And you may have heard Trump say it when he started talking about sleeper cells. This is very important. Study about sleeper cells and what they do and how they're activated and what they target once they're activated. So that's why we need to vent everybody. We need to know. We want to be fair. We want to be fair. But my first priority is you. Protecting you, protecting these children. And that's what I'm going to do. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chief.
when we sign up for day one, we place the left hand in the Bible and we raise our right hand and we swear to the Constitution. It's something that we all believe in. I believe that everybody is afforded the same rights in this country, and those are rights that we, as the sheriff, are afforded to protect. I think in doing so, we have to make sure that we understand what's important to us too. If you go back to my website, it's roberttsheriff.com, you'll see that my experience across illegal immigration and several other federal factors show how we're here to address this. The Sheriff's Office has had federal partners for over 10 years. We've had somebody assigned to the Department of Homeland Security for that time period, if not longer. We've seen before how we have called upon Department of Homeland Security when we've been in these situations, and there's been loopholes in the past that there's been plenty of times we just have to walk away from people. We have to understand even deeper what's being done by us to protect our rights. Right now in Spartanburg County, you're 6 times more likely to be a victim of a violent crime than anywhere else in the state. And when we look at what is important to us in protecting our rights, we have to think about gang violence. We have to think about other things that are more of a threat to us in our community, and think about what it's going to take for us as a community to help solve those problems. Over the last 2 weeks, we've buried a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old child that's been a victim of gang violence. We are burying our children. We are seeing guns being stolen by irresponsible gun owners who leave their guns in their cars overnight and wonder why 6 months to a year later they show up involved in a homicide. I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe in the right to bear arms. I hate for you to come to my house or any of my family members' houses, because we'll show you. But I also believe in being a gun owner, you have to be responsible. The number of drive-by shootings that happen in this county every single year. One year we were up to 100 drive-by shootings alone in Spartanburg County, not including the city. We have to take an aggressive approach to gang violence in our community. And a lot of people think, hey, this comes from illegal immigration. It doesn't. Most of our gang violence is affected by the people that live in this community and are from this community. What we have to realize is that there are children in middle school right now that are going to go back to school in a few weeks. And they're going to come to middle school, and the first thing that they're going to be faced with is joining the gang. In the 6th grade, when our priorities should be so much different, when I should be worried about getting my new PlayStation or Xbox, I'm faced with, am I going to go to school tomorrow and be jumped in by a gang? Am I going to worry about me not agreeing with this gang and a few days later they come by and do a drive-by shooting in my house? It's a real problem in our community, and unless we get involved, unless we become stronger partners, we're not going to find a way to save our children. Thank you.
Mr. Clark.
All right, safeguard the rights of the people. I guess the echo train from Rolling Thunder. Again, we swear the oath to the Constitution. So yes, I think everybody's scared of a constitutional sheriff. Not everybody, but some people are scared of it. But you got to understand, you have rights, and that's the thing. So we got to protect those rights. So being a constitutional sheriff, that's the first one, First Amendment. You got your freedom of speech, freedom to protest. As long as you do it legally, then do it. You can do that. That's the freedom that we have. Again, amendment number 2, you have the right to bear arms. That's, we are constitutional carry. The only thing that I ask is that you please train. Just be a reminder that we are close to North Carolina. They did not pass that law, so SLED offers free CWP courses. So again, if you're take a day trip and cross the line and maybe run across somebody, just beware, be forewarned that a CWP would help you out across the line. But again, we're going back to the 4th Amendment, the basis of law enforcement, the illegal search and seizure. That goes back to Rolling Thunder. We have to ensure that we're not taking what we're not allowed to take. When ICE comes in, and hopefully they would work with us. We work with all federal agencies. We have been for quite some time, especially at the detention center. We house federal inmates, have a contract with them. But again, we got to make sure that probable cause is there when ICE comes to detain somebody. There's a right way to enter into the United States. You have to fill out the paperwork, go through the Constitution. You have to memorize things, and it's more than grade school stuff there. Again, the COVID pandemic. I go back to my barber. That's unfortunately why I do my hair the way I do, because it's a lot easier now, and apparently it looks good on people. So the COVID pandemic is we were, you know, not free to move around. That's one of the things. Is, you know, just working together though. It was new to us, new to this country of this the disease, and just work together. You know, some people didn't want to wear masks. Some people did. You know, hey, that's up to you. Again, that's your freedom. Just stay at home if you wanted to stay at home. But going back to Rolling Thunder, just making sure we have to take a look at it. We're going to explain the why, and we're going to explain the how we did what we did. That's one of the biggest things, is not only the why, but then the how. So going on with that, Rolling Thunder, thankfully it's been paused. We'll take a look at it and just make sure that everybody's rights have been secured there. So, thank you.
Mr. Clevenger.
Give everyone in here, my wife's here, she understands. You asked about me protecting the rights, the citizenry out here. October 20th, this coming year will be 4 years ago, my sweet father told me that he did not want to take the COVID shot, and I respected his wishes. My father died from COVID on October the 20th, will be 4 years ago. So I ask you to look me in the face and ask, if I'll respect the rights of the man I love, the man that raised me, will I protect your rights? And the answer is yes. Rest assured that if I'm your sheriff, your constitutional rights will be upheld. The Bill of Rights, we've already been mentioned, and the oath that we took, the oath that I take every time that I'm sworn in, or every time I've worked under someone that's elected, is paramount to me. Those are drilled into us at the academy. They're reminded of us every time we go to court. I mentioned working narcotics and vice years ago. I had the opportunity to, when we made those cases, go to court and stand in front of an arbiter and two lawyers, one the prosecutor, one the defense, to make sure that those rights weren't trampled on. Those defendants that I accused of a crime, make sure that their search and seizure rights weren't violated. Every right that the Bill of Rights guarantees us is drilled into us every time by the Academy that we make a case. So your rights are just as important as everyone else's, and if we're asking, will I be the one to make sure your rights aren't violated? If I don't violate a suspect's rights, I'm definitely not going to violate your rights. I will tell you that if someone is here illegally, I agree with what's already been said. They need to leave our country and then try and come back and do it the right way. There are many people that have been taking shortcuts over the years, and this has been largely overlooked. The time for that has to stop. Yes, I will enforce ICE laws as your sheriff. I will also go so far as to tell you that if we're talking about terrorism and joint terrorism task forces, I also will, as your sheriff, take part in those to make sure, as the sleeper cells have been talked about as well, that we follow through with that and make sure we talk about our children and protecting our churches and our schools. That's one thing, that's an early warning system that we have in place. I will make sure deputies or a deputy is part of that program. Thank you.